talk a little bit about obesity, which is a very common problem. Again, we've said here before that we have an abundance of food in our country, availability, and obesity is very common. And there are a lot of times that the foods that are cheap and plentiful are also foods that will make us very fat very quickly. So what's going on in the biology? Well, there is a genetic component to obesity. There are some people who are more genetically predisposed to develop obesity. As we become more obese, as we gain weight, we are creating more adipose cells. We're creating more fat cells, and essentially, it's creating new set points where now we need more food in order to feel satisfied, and that's essentially we're developing new set points. So where a certain amount of food intake was satisfying to us before, but now that we've gained weight, now we need a new higher level of food consumption in order to feel satisfied. And again, that's related to those fat cells, those adipose cells, that when you're obese, people have a lot more of these cells. And essentially, these cells, when they're empty, they're signaling us to be filled again. Well, if you have more of those cells, then you have more of those cells that are essentially sending a signal for you to eat more. So again, that grows the problem, in that as you develop more of those cells, now you need more food to create more, to be able to fill those cells, and you are essentially, body's telling you to eat more. Of course, biology is not the only part. There are psychological factors. In the past, the focus was on the emotional state of the person, as far as what is leading the person to eat, and also those external food cues that they run into. Now, that's relevant, but it's not the only thing. More recently, time and place seems to be an important factor in terms of signaling us when to eat. We kind of know lunchtime, whatnot. Also, as I was saying before, the cheaper foods have more sugar, more fat in it. Essentially, eating a smaller amount of the food, you'll gain weight fat. You'll still gain weight faster. So, the food essentially is making us fat faster. Resisting temptation is a big factor in trying to control your weight, and it's not an easy thing to do. Remember when we were talking about learning that reinforcement that comes right away is going to be carry a lot bigger punch than reinforcement that comes later. So the reinforcement you get from an ice cream sundae right now is going to pack a bigger punch than the reinforcement that you might get, 3 or 4 months down the road, or after dieting, when you look good and you've lost weight and you feel healthier. Obviously 3 months down the road, 3 or 6 months down the road, the fact that you look and feel better is going to be a really, really big reward for you. And the ice cream sundaes may not be a very big reward, but when the ice cream sundae comes right away, it is a much more powerful incentive. So the small immediate rewards are going to be a much bigger pull than the larger rewards. So the secret is to delay gratification. Hold off on satisfying yourself with the small ice cream sundae now, and wait until later where you can get the big rewards you get from losing weight, feeling and looking good. Okay, and a lot of research has been done on delaying gratification, and this was started by Walter Mischel and his colleagues. And the argument is if you are able to delay gratification, hold off on what you want, on what looks good now for something better later, then it's going to, it's a good measure of your self-control. And it's actually been shown that the children who can delay gratification at an early age, they tend to be more successful, make more money as they get older. Apparently, being that they can exercise their self-control and use it to their advantage. So here I'm going to show you like a video of a classic experiment that Walter Mischel has done to illustrate delay of gratification.
He tests their impulse control, since more self-control means more empathy, more consideration of others.
I'm going to take 4 M&Ms.
He uses a familiar psychological exercise,
I'm going to put them on this plate.
tempting them with candy. Keep in mind, a third of all the children taking the test you're about to see cannot control their impulses and eat the treat. As we watch through a two-way mirror, the doctor tells each dilly that if he can wait to eat the M&Ms, he'll be rewarded with 4 more later. Then the doctor leaves the room.
This is a test of a child's ability to delay gratification, to get something more if they can wait.
The exercise lasts 12 torturous minutes, a lifetime to a preschooler. 6 little mouths watering at the prospect of candy, and devising 60 different strategies for resisting temptation. They'll try anything, hiding, or clapping, or counting. And when it's over, amazingly, every single dilly kept control.
More, you get 8. Good job. Okay.
Doctors told us they were surprised that in this case, being a multiple may have given them an emotional head start on a lifetime of friendship and satisfaction.
It's clearly not an easy task for them, but they've developed skills to do so, and I wouldn't be surprised if they developed that in their day-to-day life. You know, what you get taught by your parents and what you get taught in your family is very often what you use in your day-to-day life.
Well, in this case, this research was done on a group of sextuplets. So the reason why, one possible reason why they were able to delay gratification successfully is because there's 6 of them. They've had a lot of experience having to wait their turn. So they've learned how to wait. They've learned how to wait their turn and learned how to delay gratification just out of the necessity of living with 5 other siblings. So that's an interesting circumstance for those kids. But bottom line is, delay of gratification really does seem to be important, not just in terms of getting more M&Ms if you wait, but basically just being able to hold off on the immediate rewards now. So, like, for example, you are in college now. Now you can go and get a lousy job right now and make some money, but you may feel that you want to hold off on that right now and work hard and get your education so you'll get a better job and a more fulfilling life later on. And again, that's also delaying gratification. Another eating disorder that we've got, an eating disorder that we are familiar with here is anorexia nervosa. People who have anorexia, they really have this unrelenting pursuit of thinness. They're never thin enough. And one of the characteristics of people who have anorexia is a seriously distorted body image. They see themselves as fat. They see themselves as overweight. When somebody else looks at them, they might see it like a walking skeleton. They find ways to look at themselves and find ways to find the fat, and they find that they want to get rid of that fat. And so one of the characteristics of people of anorexia is a seriously distorted view of their body. Unfortunately, people who have anorexia, they get very sick, and they can actually die from from various health problems that can come about from anorexia. It's more common among women, and part of that might be the pressure for women to be thin in our society. One possible, certainly one explanation for the more common among women, but still men can get this as well. So people with anorexia, they have less than 85% of their normal weight, and the fear of gaining weight that is really kind of like more than usual, and it's that distorted body image. Someone who's really really thin but sees themselves as fat. You really, that's really something to pay attention to if you notice that in somebody. Amenorrhea for women, they essentially don't menstruate anymore. Essentially, their body responds to the starvation and goes into starvation mode, and essentially your menstruation stops. Essentially, you don't want to lose any more of your body fluid or during this time. Essentially, retaining as much as you can. So that's one of the symptoms as well. And clearly, you can have various kinds of problems with your organs, or multiple organ failure, and people die. The singer Karen Carpenter died from complications of anorexia, and a number of other people have unfortunately passed away. Bulimia nervosa is another eating disorder that is a big threat to your health, and this involves binging and purging. Now, someone who has bulimia is not going to starve to death, but they are going to have various kinds of health problems from the binging and purging. Binging essentially is like eating a whole lot at once and then purposefully throwing up to avoid having to digest the high calories there that you're eating. You're still going to digest some of it, so you're not going to starve, but you're going to have various kinds of health problems, electrolyte problems, heart problems. So this can be very dangerous as well. Like anorexia, it's also more common among females. People who have bulimia, they are just preoccupied with food. They're always thinking about what they're going to eat and really like fantasizing about food and really into food. And this is, and again, they go through the binging, but then they purge because they don't want to, either throwing up or taking a lot of laxative, just to get it out of the system quickly, so they don't become. So they can minimize, so they don't become fat, but they can, still enjoy the food there. And again, it's the various health problems with that. Okay, and again, the emotions that are involved in that, they feel fear, depression, anxiety, and shame, because again, the binging and purging is kind of a secret thing that they would do, hiding themselves away. They don't want to tell other people that they do it. And again, unlike anorexia, someone with bulimia, they are often, usually often normal weight people. So, just by looking at them, they don't look like they have any disorder, but they do, so keep things secret. People with anorexia, that there's something wrong. And again, there are medical dangers here. There's problems with the acid. If you're throwing up the acid in your stomach, you could, the overdose of laxatives can really disrupt your digestive system. So it is a problem. It is something serious. So as I was saying before, that there are cultural expectations for women to have a certain kind of appearance, to be thin, and this is part of the reason for what might be going on for people with anorexia. There might be some problems in the family interactions. Maybe for a woman, a girl who feels powerless in her life now finds a way to achieve this kind of power, this kind of self-control over her body if she can't control other aspects of her life. Biological factors, people may be more genetically predisposed to it as well. Serotonin regulation may also be an issue with eating disorders as well. And again, there also can be neurological effects from the dieting, the binging, the purging. Finally, another eating disorder is binge eating disorder. And this again involves eating large amounts of food. It does not include the purging, but just eating large amounts of food at one sitting and doing it repeatedly, doing it compulsively. And oftentimes, people who have binge eating disorder, they're not eating because they are hungry. They may be eating because they want to feel better. They are, and oftentimes they will eat to the point of getting themselves sick, eating very, very quickly. So, it's not hunger, they're eating for other reasons. People who are obese, about 8% of obese would be classified as having binge eating disorder. So not everybody who is obese has binge eating disorder, where it's again this compulsive desire to eat large amounts of large amounts of food in one sitting. It's just a matter of there are differences in weight regulation and whatnot. But binge eating disorder is more than just about the food. There are biological factors, genetic factors. Dopamine is involved. You think about dopamine reward the eating the food, it triggers that dopamine, so it's like it's almost like getting a high from taking cocaine. You feel that dopamine and it feels good, so you want to keep on doing it. So you're doing it for that reward rather than to satisfy your hunger, and rather than fulfilling your body's need for food. And again, you're doing it to perhaps reduce your stress. Or if you're under stress, you feel that eating helps you cope with stress.